Hi, I'm Rob Buckingham. Thanks for joining us on Bayside TV. Today on the show we have guest band The Kingdom performing, and we look at an issue that begs the question, can we all just get along?
No one person is the same. Today's mantra for life could easily be, we are all different. We think differently, we all have a different point of view, and we all have our own ideas about life. We love that we are different because it makes life interesting and exciting, even if we disagree. So, with that said, can all religions live together, even if they think differently?
Great topic on Bayside TV today, and to help us with the discussion, first of all, Sarah Sabar from Benevolence Australia. Welcome.
Thank you.
And tell us just a little bit about Benevolence Australia.
So Benevolence was formed a few years ago just to create a safe space for Muslims and people of other faith backgrounds to come together and to discuss basically spirituality in the modern world.
Okay, wonderful. Now we have Tal Spinrad, and you're a leader of a Jewish community. Welcome to you, Tal.
Thank you for having me.
And just tell us a little bit about the Jewish community that you lead.
It's called Bet La Malo, and basically means House of Why Not. And it's a community that we founded about 3 years ago. There's a hybrid online face-to-face community open to everyone who is Jewish and people who have entwined their lives with those Jewish people.
Okay, fabulous. And of course, my lovely co-host and wife, Christy B. Welcome to you.
Great to be here. I'm really looking forward to today. I always believe that when you're with other people, there is always something that you can learn and take away from what they have to share. And I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be good.
Yeah. And of course, you're from a Protestant Irish background, so
Yes.
you've definitely got something to bring to the discussion today.
Absolutely. Well, I wish we had learned how to get along 30 years ago.
Right.
We might be in a different place today.
How true. Let me just ask you a question. I'll start with you, Sarah. Have you ever experienced intolerance in Australia?
Absolutely. It's hard not to, wearing a headscarf. It's hard not to, and especially post 9/11. I think pre 9/11 it was very much, you look different, you look weird, but post 9/11 it was a different discussion altogether.
So do you find people looking at you disparagingly, or what does the intolerance look like?
It can look like a look of what's that about, to knowing that I'm a woman that's been educated in Australia, why would I choose this from my own volition? Or people that assume that Islam is a barbaric religion, it's why would I adhere to such a faith? To even more hostile, post 9/11, it's views of hatred and affiliation with terrorism.
I have had a girlfriend who actually had someone drive along beside them and just go like this.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I can't believe that another human being would treat another human being like that.
Well, personally, I was attacked by a man with a crowbar 2 days after 9/11, so it's quite real.
So you've experienced that in a big way. What about you, Tal?
Absolutely.
Yes, there's been outright people saying things or looking at you strangely. I think somewhat it's a little bit different because I'm a man and I'm rather large. So you're a bit more threatening. I think that there's a stereotype of Jews turning on their heels and running if they're the Eastern European type, and people have come and approached me and realized that I don't do that. That I'll push a little bit back. So there's been somewhat baiting, Jew baiting going on. But it's difficult to talk about this with people, especially in Australia, simply because people have the belief that because it's against the law, it doesn't happen. I've found that because it's against the law, it doesn't get talked about, and the dialogue isn't there. And that way, there's no process to try to heal the rifts. That it's something that happens underground. And
I actually was having a really interesting discussion on a plane recently, a plane flight, and I was sitting next to a guy who was a businessman from the Jewish community right here in Melbourne, and he said his kids go to a school, to a Jewish school, and all the parents have to be on a roster. And they have one person at one end of the street, another person at the other end of the street, and then someone at the gate, and they're all on walkie-talkies, just communicating with each other to let them know if there's any imminent threat. And that's right in the
crazy.
beautiful, safe city of Melbourne.
Well, I mean, you know, I grew up with, I mean, I myself have been spat at. I've had rocks thrown at me for my faith, directly for my faith in Northern Ireland. And, you know, we've had situations where police have had to guard places of worship. We've had situations where roadblocks and people with balaclavas, you know, that kind of thing. That's what I grew up with. So, you know, and it doesn't work. So how can we learn to get along? And is it actually possible?
Well, let's talk about positive stories. What about acceptance? Have you had stories of acceptance in Northern Ireland, say, from Catholic believers?
Yes, but you've got to remember that when I left Northern Ireland, the troubles were still happening. Certainly now, in fact, I actually ended up making very good friends in America with someone who was a political leader of the other side, so to speak, and that fascinated people back at home in Ireland to the point where it actually was a little bit dangerous. So I had to back off that affiliation, but we still keep in contact, etc. But you know, there's resolution to a degree, but there's still an undercurrent very much happening. But I mean, you know, even sitting here today, I mean, and our, you know, relationship that we've been building with Tal, you know, I think that's wonderful to be able to see that.
It is.
Positive experience. And hopefully with Sarah as well. It'd be great.
I think, I mean, you can disagree, can't you? But you don't have to be disagreeable. One of the most amazing conversations I had was in Malaysia a few years ago. And we often holiday in Malaysia. We love it there. And I play water volleyball when I'm there. And I met these two young guys who were from Saudi Arabia. And we were playing on the same team, and we're having a bit of fun together, and we were getting on well. And then afterwards, we decided to go and have a cup of tea, and we sat down and had a great discussion. And we talked for 2 hours. And it was open and it was honest, and I talked about my culture and my faith, and they talked about their culture and their faith and all of that. I've got to say that was one of the most inspirational conversations, and they enjoyed it and I enjoyed it. At the end of it, we gave each other a big hug. And it was so nice.
I have found, for the most part, that people who are comfortable within their cultural skin, as it were, that are able to be themselves, be comfortable with that, that they're the people that are able to be non-threatened by other people. And that are able to actually have those conversations. And those conversations are the most stimulating conversations. It indeed would be an incredibly boring life if everyone felt the same way.
If we all agreed.
Yeah. And I think as well, it's about the genuineness, isn't it, of the situation. Like when we're in Malaysia, there's a lot of ladies from Saudi Arabia, and they wear the complete black burqa and black gloves, and it's very overwhelming. We have very blonde children, and I just said to one of the ladies, because they all want to take photographs, especially of the little one, and I said, you know, you're actually frightening her. You need to, if you want to photograph, I mean, obviously there's no males around, you need to lift your veil. And then she was fine. She was screaming and running behind my leg, you know, because it wasn't something she was used to.
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Sarah? Have you had good stories of acceptance?
Absolutely. I think the positive thing, post 9/11, I can keep referring to that, is that it did allow the Muslim community to come out. I think we were very much an insular community before then, and then we started, you know, broadening our horizons, having mosque open days, working with other communities, working with Christians and Jews and Buddhists and Hindus and other communities, and having genuine discussions. I mean, there's one thing to have interfaith dialogue on a superficial level, if you know what I mean, and then there's another level when it's genuine concern and genuine care and genuine sharing of each other's tradition. And I think that's what happened with us.
Wonderful. We're going to come back right after the break and talk about this a little bit more. Stay tuned. After the break, we hit the streets with Campbell Vandersloot.
With so many religions in the world, there's a lot of conflicting values. So, can we all get along? Can all religions live together?
Yeah, I can't see why not. I have friends of all different religious backgrounds, so we work well together, so why can't everyone?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, why is that?
Why? Well, I think you need people to want to live together, and I believe that religions, why can't they? Do you know what I mean? I think that we should focus more on the positive things about interfaith communities rather than focusing on all the negatives. And so I definitely think that, yeah, we can, but you need a willingness of the people to want to.
In my opinion, no, I don't think they can all live together. I'd love them to be able to. Love to have all of them just right here now, sharing a meal, chowing down, slapping leg, woohoo, laughing. But yeah, nah, it's inevitable that the disagreements would turn to violence.
I'd like to say yes, but I don't really believe so, no.
Why do you think that is?
I just don't think there's enough acceptance in the world for everyone's differences. Truly, don't think there is.
I don't see why not. I mean, everyone's entitled to their own beliefs, and I think, you know, as long as you're respectful of other people's opinions and their beliefs, then there's no reason why not.
Well, it depends what religion it is. I guess Christianity should live with other religions pretty peacefully, but other religions might not teach the same thing, so it's up to each individual religion, but I guess that would be the ideal and something we could work towards.
No.
And why do you think that is?
I don't think there's enough tolerance in the world.
Well, some fascinating responses there. I like the word tolerance because often we misunderstand what tolerance is. Tolerance these days is viewed as accepting, whereas tolerance is actually exercised when we disagree. Because if I agree with everything that, say, you believe, Sarah, then we don't have to exercise tolerance, do we? But if we recognise that there are similarities and differences in our faith, then we exercise tolerance even when we disagree. What do you what are some of the causes of religious intolerance, do you think?
That's a good question, because I think we can live together and we can't in a way, because it depends on the religion itself. If a religion preaches religious supremacy in a way, where a religious group of people feel that they are the elite and they are superior to other religions, I think that's problematic. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We need to have where the core values is mutual respect, and that I don't feel that I'm better than you, and that I'm not chosen by God because I'm a Muslim. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so I think that's important for a discussion of respect.
Isn't it inherent, though, especially, I would say, in Islam and Christianity, a very strong belief that salvation is only found in that particular...
What about the Jews as chosen people?
Oh, I suppose so.
May I throw that in?
Please do.
Okay. Two-parter answer. And I won't do a mime for it, but two-parter answer. One, what you're alluding to is that there are religions that are proselytizing religions. There are religions that believe that the world would certainly, even benevolently, would be a better place if the entire world were that religion. That there is a selling point, as it were.
Yeah.
That our way is the way.
Sure.
That's the selling point. The second part, in terms of the chosenness, I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with being chosen, as long as you don't believe that's above.
Okay.
You can be chosen traditionally, or it's exclusive. It's unique. It's not exclusive. It's unique. It's that big difference. Traditionally speaking, in Judaism, it's always been among most Jews that the chosenness of the Jewish people is a unique situation at a unique time. It's as if all three of my children have a different chosen relationship with me. It's a different thing. In terms of proselytizing, in terms of wanting other people to become our religion, it's been a policy, theological policy for thousands of years, not to dissuade converts, to turn them away 3 times at least before they come on board.
So you dissuade converts
We dissuade
to Judaism.
them.
Wow.
So it becomes harder, you see.
Okay.
And then, but that's very tricky.
That is tricky.
That's tricky because then the more you can't have something, the more you want it. Very very good. See?
Well, it's not a selling job.
I'm kidding you, Tal.
The old line is that we don't want everyone to be Jewish because no one would buy retail. But to keep it very, very too late, very, very short. There's a gigantic difference with what a lot of people are saying in terms of beliefs and actions. right? They're saying you can believe what you want. In each of our religions, there's two distinct segments of how we act. It's how we act towards the Creator,
yeah,
and there is the social contract aspect.
And how we act towards each other.
It is very easy for me to say, if you worship a vacuum cleaner, more power to you, right? More power to you. I don't care. That's wonderful for you, as long as your interactions with other human beings is on a respectful plane.
But I think that's because what we're talking about here is three monotheistic faiths, okay? So we inherently believe, if I'm, correct me if I'm wrong, that we are created in the image of God. So each one of us, when we honor each other, it's because we are respecting that you are made in the image of God, you're made in the image of God, and we don't want to disrespect that. Is that a fair bottom line now?
With people that have a stake in us being separate.
What do you think on this, Sarah?
I would agree with that. The idea of having a relationship with God and a relationship with people is one and the same for me. The attributes of God need to be embodied in us, made in the image of God. For me, I understand, what I'm hearing from that is the attributes of God. Merciful, compassionate, generous, love. The more we are God conscious, the more we embody that onto others. So it doesn't matter if you're Jew or Christian or Hindu or fire worshipper or devil worshipper. That shouldn't be embodied. And what I see in some religions is like there's arrogance there. There's an arrogance there that I'm superior to you, and so therefore that's why I can treat you with disdain. I can.
Because you're saying that they're not created in the image of God. That's the only way you could treat them with disdain.
Or they think that we are closer to God. We are the people of God, and that's problematic. And this is where the word chosen gets confused.
It gets very much confused.
Do you see what I'm saying? Well, we are the chosen
But aren't we
people
saying
of God.
that every human being
I believe so.
is created in the image of God? You cannot have breath unless you
I believe so. And therefore, the idea of justice resides with people that are God does not favor people that subscribe to Him. I believe God is on the side of justice, wherever that may be. And so that's why there's a passage in the Quran that says, stand for justice, even if it's against yourself. And that's hard to do. And against your family, and against your own religion at times. Muslims do a lot of horrible things. And how people can come up there and say, that's wrong. Christians do a lot of bad things in the name of Christianity. Jews do a lot of bad things in the name of Judaism.
How do you feel about that, and especially in the way things have been since 9/11, and obviously the majority of terrorism that we see on the media is Muslim propagated, if you like. How do you feel about that personally?
I'm glad you actually said what we see in the media.
Yes.
So
I'm aware that there's lots of other stuff going on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why are they showing that specifically?
I feel saddened. I feel saddened. However, I do understand that the people that are attracted to hard-lined religious philosophies or any kind of hard-lined anything, that's just their nature. They would have been attracted to it whether in Islam or Judaism or Christianity or politically or anything. And I feel saddened that Islam is being used for that, because as a Muslim, that's not my interpretation of the faith.
And would you say the majority of Muslims would be saddened?
Absolutely.
Most of the people that you know?
The day, we have our scholars that say 9/11, Islam was hijacked the day 9/11 happened. Absolutely.
Okay, fascinating. So how can we live together in peace, Christy?
Well, I think it just comes back to that exactly. What is getting hijacked by acts of violence? Why can't we try to honour each other and not try to, it's like spoilt children trying to constantly wrangle people into your way of thinking or your way of believing, instead of allowing the person to be moved towards what is their destiny, their pathway.
Yeah. Yeah, and understanding, isn't it? It's understanding one another. Like, I'll just go back to these two guys I met in Malaysia. In our conversation, I was very honest. I said, I find the full black burqa very confronting. And they laughed and they said, yeah, we can understand that. And then they said, as two guys in their mid-20s coming from Saudi Arabia to Malaysia, we find the bikini very confronting.
Well, what about a nun? What about a nun in a full habit?
I laughed my head off because you know what? I had never thought of that before. I'd always thought about it from my own standpoint. We've got to finish up, but Tal, just quickly, how can we get along?
Understand that conflict is okay. That the dialogue is okay, have conflict, have heated conflict, have passionate conflict, but never forget what you were told, what you're saying about being created in the image of God.
Yep.
That if you do violence towards any other human being, you are doing violence towards God.
Yeah, very good. Sarah, just to finish up, how can we live at peace? One thought.
One thought, remember that it's mercy, that God is about mercy, and to have mercy one another is beyond tolerance and beyond respect. It's really feeling with each other.
Wonderful. We'll be right back, but after the break, we have guest band The Kingdom performing. Welcome back to Bayside TV. I want to thank my guest today, Sarah Sabah from Benevolence Australia.
Thank you so much for having me.
Been great to have you on the program. Tal Spinrad from the leader of a Jewish community.
Yeah.
I can't even pronounce it, so...
That's okay.
He's still
We don't have a
trying to work it
mailing
out
address
too.
yet. I'm still working on it. It's a work in progress, like everything
And of
else.
course, Christy V.
I just loved today. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, really enjoyed the program. Now performing their song Love Away, The Kingdom.
We're still for love, for life, and all that's in between. Tell me, how do you exist in everyday routine? When it's not love till you give it away. It's not life till you live in His name. So take out another good look around, 'cause you've got more to give when He gave everything. For love, He gave everything for love. So give His love away. And now with love and life and all that's in between, tell me, can you see all the broken people? Did we miss something? When it's not love till you give it away. It's not life till you live in His name. Take out another good look around, 'cause you've got more to give. He gave everything for love. He gave everything for love. Yes, He gave everything for love. So give His love away. And give His love away. Yeah. He's more than enough for me. He's more than enough for me. So in the overflow, we'll give His love away. He's more than enough for me. He's more than enough for me. So in the overflow, we'll give His love away. 'Cause it's not love till you give it away. And it's not life till you live in His name. It's not love till you give it away. It's not life till you live in His name. Take out another good look around, 'cause you got more to give when He gave everything for love. He gave everything for love. Yes, He gave everything for love. So give